Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. The program will begin in exactly 5 minutes and we'll be right back. So sit back, chill out, and get ready for another insightful session.
Does your life as an online learner look awfully something like this? All study and no fun makes one a dull one. Escape boredom and burnout while learning a lot and so much more. You don't have to worry about juggling work and school. The balance in academic excellence, work, and fun is now made accessible at your fingertips. Join us as we walk you through the fun part of digital learning as we put the cool in digital school. Here at MMDC, a whole lot of fun awaits you. Activities, opportunities to meet new people, and avenues to showcase your passion, talents, and skills aplenty. Digital, I dig it all. Say goodbye to dozing off during boring and stuffy webinars, and say hello to fun and interactive e-events lined up for you. Brace yourselves for quirky challenges that you will experience with your friends and clubmates. We introduce to you our virtual escape rooms. Hunt for clues, solve mysteries, and then some. Digital, I dig it all. Need time off from your computer to stretch a little? We've got that covered too. We have wellness activities to make sure that you stay fit and healthy even with the digital setup. Digital, I dig it all. Digital learning is said to be lonely learning, but fret not, lonely no more. Here at MMDC, you'll never be or feel alone. Go join a club or create one yourself. Share and express your passion, talents, and skills. Digital, I dig it all. From clubs that will help you further improve your communication and social skills, to the ones that place focus on technical skills that will help you solve real-world cases that you will work on, or even a club that simply unleashes you in the we as we grow together as a nurturing and fun, dynamic academic community. Digital, I dig it all. Finally, get a chance to be featured in our school publication. Share about activities, events, and even your own stories in our digital community. Or be part of the proactive school publications team and get to write articles. Together, we'll deliver news and updates and more to our community. The MMDC community. Digital, I dig it all. We've talked digital, but what about face-to-face? MMDC proudly welcomes you to our Learning Hub. Experience firsthand and in person our state-of-the-art facilities that are both conducive for learning and collaboration friendly. Here, you not only solve problems, projects, and cases, but also build and create connections, collaborations, and ideas while having fun. It's all in at the Hub, only at the Learning Hub. The entire digital setup might be intimidating, but worry not. The IA or Integrated Advising Services are here to assist you for anything and everything. Got any questions or queries? We're here to answer you or direct you to the right persons. Got concerns? We're all ears. Troubleshooting? Consider it done. We're just one message away. Sounds exciting? We're excited for you too. We can't wait to be part of your college journey. See you virtually and in our learning hubs.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to What's Next Wednesdays. We will be talking about the latest developments in college, business, and technology. I'm Danny, MMDC's Marketing and Partnerships Officer, and as always, I will be your host for the day. So before we begin, here are some house rules for tonight's session. So you'll be seeing them on screen, and remember that this event will be recorded and it will be published on our Facebook and YouTube pages. At any time during the event, feel free to type your questions in the chat box or the comment section in our Facebook Live or even our YouTube Live. For those of you who are watching on our social media pages and our admissions officers will be sending those questions to us for our guests to answer. For those of you on Zoom, your microphone is automatically muted when you enter the room. But if you want to ask questions later during our Q&A segment, just click the raise hand button and our moderator will be the one to unmute you. All right, so you can also follow us on our social media pages if you want to get updated and or watch this live once again. So we'll be having this live available on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and even LinkedIn at Mapua Malayan Digital. So if you remember, for those of you who were here in our last episode, we talked to our residential instructional system designer Levy about how you can optimize college education here at MMDC for your career in IT. So for those of you who missed it, again, you can always visit our YouTube page, Mapua Malayan Digital College, so you can watch that discussion. For now, we invite you all to focus on our topic today, which is still related to information technology. We've got two very experienced speakers ready to discuss the realities of work in technology. First off, here to talk about career paths and day-to-day responsibilities in IT, please welcome our distinguished Vice President for IT and Administration, Dr. Jonathan Dayao. Hi, Doc John. Good evening. Hope you can hear me loud and clear. Doc John, I think you're on mute right now. Let me just ask you to unmute. All right.
There you go. All
So,
right. I thought we're going to
awesome.
have some technical difficulty. But yeah, happy to be here, Danny, to be able to reach out to a lot of your audiences.
Yeah, it's really great to see you, Doc John. And I'm really happy to have you on our live podcast. It's such an honor to have you here with us, especially knowing that you have a very busy schedule.
Well, I'm just so glad to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you as well. Again, thank you, Doc John. And before we move on to the topic of our discussion, can you first tell us more about how you first got into information technology?
Oh, wow. That's going to be a long story. But yeah, so it dates back, all the way back to 1984.
Oh,
Maybe most,
wow.
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe most of our audiences are toddlers at that time, or maybe they're not there yet, right? So what happened to me was that on my senior year, I actually already finished my senior year, and I was just visiting the university. And there were two of us. We met our professor, and he just told us, "Hey guys, can you help us set up the computer lab?" And the university got a donation of about 40 desktop
Mhm.
PCs, that is. And, we just helped out, unboxed, and set up the computer lab. In
Mhm.
return, right, we were given computer time
Mhm.
and we were given access to the computer manuals. I was so fascinated with
Oh,
computers, right? And I felt like this is where I'm at.
mhm.
So yeah, that started it for me. I was particularly interested how programming languages works,
Mhm.
or how they work, or how operating systems work. So that's where my fascination was, or
How it
was
all
at.
started. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and during the time 1984, Windows operating system, or Windows, or Bill Gates,
Mhm.
is a big name during that
Yeah.
time. He
Mhm.
created Windows, and like, how did he create that operating system?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yes.
that was how I started with IT.
That's actually a really good story, Doc John. Honestly, like I remember now that you bring up Bill Gates, I remember like back when we had our computer classes, how they used to mention that it all started from there with the Mac, yeah, the Apple with Windows, how even other operating systems came to be before the two lead ones started. So that's really cool. And well, I guess on your end, the rest, as they say, is history. Definitely.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, 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 yeah. My first computer then was an Apple II
Oh,
computer.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. It was those, command line type of computers with green screens, not colored yet at that time.
Oh, so they were green back then. So, since you're talking about how things have changed, how do you feel like how greatly has the tech landscape changed compared to when you were starting out at the time?
Yeah. I mean, when I was so you can look at it at different terrains. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so the computer itself, for example, there's a tremendous and rapid growth in terms of computing power
Mm-hmm.
per square foot, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say.
Yeah.
So during the 1980s, the popular thing was the personal computers were really getting popular, right? But before
Yeah.
that, we had the mini computer and the mainframe computers.
Mm-hmm.
So during the 1980s, there were the PCs, and
Mm-hmm.
then, as these devices got smaller and smaller. And now we have the smartphones, which is, a small device which
Yes.
has packed computing power as well, right? So
Yes.
that's one dimension, the computer itself. The other dimension is the network.
Mm-hmm.
So during the time, 1980s, there was a central computer, and, there are terminals connected to the central computer, but we call them dumb terminals because all they can do is it has a keyboard. There's
Mm-hmm.
no processor in there. Well, there's a small processor, and what
Yeah.
it does is that you type in something,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes to, that message goes to the central computer.
Oh.
The central computer processes it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
returns a result. No? But
Oh.
it's not like the network that we know now, wherein we have a Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of a wire connecting, the dumb terminal to that
Yeah.
central computer. And then, of course, the 1980s, we have the internet and all of that, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wi-Fi. And then, at our homes, we can actually connect to the internet, right?
Internet. Yeah. Right.
So two dimensions, computer itself, networks, and I guess the other dimension is the application
Mm-hmm.
itself. No, so the application is moving very rapidly.
Yeah.
During the 80s, computer applications were mostly business
Mm-hmm.
applications. There
Yeah.
were games, but the
Mm-hmm.
games were mostly on the PCs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you pair the computer and the network together, applications became more sophisticated in the way that for games, for example, you can play with game here on your desktop, and then you can play with another person who is at the other side of the globe, right?
Yeah.
So, and the applications, like, of course, Facebook came into, social networks came into being,
Yeah.
Instagram came to, so these are the different applications that are available now. So the way I see it, it's rapid growth in different dimensions, the
Mm-hmm.
computer itself, the network, the computer networks, and the application itself is like rapid growth, rapid development in these different technologies. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Like I see that, especially the way you were talking, it brought up so many memories. Like my first laptop was actually the one that had the mouse as a little eraser
Oh,
shape kind. That
yeah.
was my
Right
first
in the
laptop.
middle.
Yeah, right in the very middle.
Yes,
And
that's right.
we also had floppy disks. We had to disconnect the landline in order to connect to the internet.
That's
So,
right. That's
right?
right.
And
You
now it's
know,
easy, right? Yeah.
that's correct. I mean, our generation, I'm an old guy, right? So our generation went through all of that. But you know what? My biggest mistake is that all these computers that I had before, I threw them away. I had this floppy disk. I threw them all away. I could have like made a lot, no, in eBay if I have kept them.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And I remember we'd have these specialized cases for those discs, and then you had to shuffle through them all the
That's right.
time. Yeah,
That's
somebody
right.
in the comment section even said that back then the laptops had very heavy battery packs.
That's
And I remember
correct.
that. It was
That's
always
correct.
so heavy. And right now, like with the latest MacBook release, you can just carry it in your backpack and it weighs close to nothing, right?
That's right. I mean, and you haven't mentioned the cell phone, right? So
Yeah.
I
And
remember during the 90s, I had this cell phone which is as big as, a notebook itself.
oh wow. Oh,
Which,
that's insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yep, that's right. Quite
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, it's
Rapid
also
development.
exciting. Like it's so amazing that we now have like Android phones. Back then, my original phone was yung di keypad siya, Doc John, and then ganito lang siya kaliit. Like it's that small. And then I was like grade 2 siguro back then.
All right. Yep, yep.
Yeah. But anyway, to move back to our main topic. So let's try to go more into the career paths and responsibilities in IT, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
well, our first question in relation to that is what should any person expect before he or she starts a career in IT?
Okay. So, well, as you know, and in our conversation here, you can really say that technology moves very quickly. The development is rapid. The growth in technology is quite fast. No, so those of you who are starting a career in IT need to expect that you need to get yourself updated always. So you need to have that mindset wherein, okay, every now and then I need to look at what's going on in technology, what's going to be the latest and the hottest in technology, and then you need to update yourself on these different on the new technologies. So I guess we need to have that mindset that technology is going to move fast.
Yeah.
However, I'd like to say also that the developments are substrated in some foundational stuff, right? So the
Yeah.
foundations are very important. It's quite tempting that you jump into a new technology straight away without understanding the foundations. Like for example, in programming, you need to understand the foundations of programming, all these structures, data
HTML,
structures.
algorithm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that because that's if you're good with the foundations,
Mm.
then whatever new technology comes up, you will be able to easily adapt to them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that. And I do see that with my classmates that like started out in IT back when we were in high school when it was a required class for our computer classes. And they still apply a lot of those strings, a lot of the logic up until now, even if they're using new programming languages or the newer programming languages. But Doc John, my next question would be what's it really going to be like once they begin working? Like seeing as there's gonna be a lot of tech involved, there's gonna be a need for them to stay up to date with everything. Will it be a high pressure environment no matter what? Or would it depend on the workload and the companies that they'll be joining?
I think it's going to depend much with the company that they'll be joining.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need to do a temperature check of the culture of the company.
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely going to be a lot of workload, right? So in our environment, even in school, there's a lot of workload that comes in. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are actually enjoying what you are working on, then you will not feel the workload at all, right?
Yeah.
So, but however, companies have certain cultures, some of which are positive, some are negative.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would advise that, they do a temperature check on the culture of the company that they are targeting. It's definitely going to be high pressure,
Mm-hmm.
but I would think that in college,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of pressure as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
definitely, and this is part of the preparation, I guess, right? So if you're in a high pressure environment now, it would
Mm-hmm.
be better for you because this is the same thing that you're going to face on your work environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you have to enjoy what you are working on. You
Mm-hmm.
have to enjoy the workplace. You'd
Yeah.
like a company which has a good work culture.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of companies now that respect work life balance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just look into those companies. You've got friends, maybe you've got alumni, or previous other friends in there or relatives in there. Do a temperature check.
Yeah, I do believe that's true. And I feel like it's that advice is actually also applicable to all walks of life, to all career paths, right?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is something that everybody should be doing.
Yeah. And speaking of career paths, would you care to tell us more about the most in demand careers right now? And if our viewers were to have these jobs, what responsibilities would these entail?
All right. I mean, some of the more popular ones are obviously like software developer, right? So network specialists, cybersecurity specialists are becoming very important these days. A lot of things are happening. There are a lot of hackers and all of that. So we need to keep our computer systems and networks safe. So cybersecurity is becoming an important profession nowadays. Data
Yeah.
engineers, because
Mm-hmm.
there's just so much data being produced by our computer systems. So data engineers are quite important. And
Mm-hmm.
as you go deeper into your career, and what we're seeing now is that there are a lot of cloud computing is being proliferated, right? So site reliability engineers or DevOps engineers are, some of the careers that are quite, in demand right now. If you're starting on your career, obviously for software developers, well, for all of this, you need to know how to code.
Yeah.
So programming is a very important skill, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so that's the basic. But each of these areas utilize tools. So you
Mhm.
need to know how to use the different tools. For example, if you're a software developer, you need to know how to use Visual Studio. You need to know how to manipulate databases. You need to know how to use version control systems. Um, yeah, so you need to know how to use Selenium, software testing tools like this.
Yeah.
These are
Mhm.
the things that you need to do. And the same with network specialists. Each of these different areas will have tools that they need. So you need to understand the different tools,
Yeah.
which, in school, you get to learn and
Yeah.
use these
Mhm.
different tools.
Yeah.
So the other aspect is that the processes, no? So each of these areas. There are processes that needs to be learned. Some companies, offer training because there are nuances
Yeah.
of these
Mhm.
processes that is quite unique
Mhm.
for a particular company. So
Mhm.
they expect to be trained on those processes, but these companies expect you to know the basic processes, right? So I
Yeah.
think as an entry point, the tools are critical. Basic knowledge about programming is critical. Whether you're a network specialist, a cybersecurity specialist, a data engineer, software developer, of course, you need to know how to do programming.
Yeah.
This is basic. So
Mhm.
programming, the tools are needed. You need to know these different tools. Processes are quite important. You need to be familiar with the different processes as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, Doc John. I do agree with that. And I feel like, especially when it comes to IT, as somebody that's looking in from the outside, as a business graduate, I feel like it's very vital that you have these skills, right? Skills that you can build on in the future. And I guess that's also a pro about MMDC, because we don't just let our students learn more about the logic, learn more about what these programming languages are, how they're defined. It's more of how you put them into practice. And as you said, we also, given that these are the most in demand careers right now, the majors that we have in information technology are also very relevant. So we have software development, network and cybersecurity, and data analytics, right? So it's something that's very helpful for us. But Doc John, thank you for helping our viewers better understand the possibilities of their careers. I'll see you again in a while, so please do stick around. But for now, we'll be turning the limelight on to our next guest, who I know you know very well as well. So, our next guest is actually an IT specialist in MMDC, and I'm really confident that he can enlighten us further on the experiences that any aspiring IT professional should anticipate. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Den Exequiel Agustin. Hi, Den. Thank you for joining us this evening. So, Den, I think you're on mute also. Let me just ask you to unmute. All right. There you
Yan,
go.
okay. So
Okay.
ayun, thanks for having me here, Danny, and siyempre, good evening sa mga viewers natin diyan. I hope you're having a great day so far.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Den. I know normally
Sure.
hindi ka talaga na-expose sa entablado. So
Sa
it's
likod lang
good.
tayo.
So this is the start of your career as one of our speakers na talaga. So then I understand that you've been working in the IT industry for a couple of years now, right? So can you tell us what happened, or can you tell us when you graduated college and how you moved into your IT career?
Okay. So I graduated last 2019. So
Mm. You
nag-work na ako.
batchmate.
Oo, batchmate. So almost 4 years na din akong nag-work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and paano nga ba ako napunta sa IT? Well, one of the reasons siguro is yung mga cousins ko kasi IT din sila. And
Oh. Mm-hmm.
tingin ko, siyempre, na-influence nila ako dahil 'pag nakikita ko yung ginagawa nila, parang ang lupit, eh. Parang ang astig, gano'n. Ta's siyempre, back in high school,
Mm-hmm.
talagang uso yung computer games, Dota, League of
Mm-hmm.
Legends, mga ganyan, 'di ba? So,
Yeah.
parang kayong magkakaibigan, IT tayo, gawa tayo ng sarili nating games. Tsaka kasi 'pag IT parang hacker ang dating, eh, 'di ba? Parang gano'n.
Oo, oo. May impression nun noon. I remember nung high school. Yan din yung mga gusto ng mga batchmates namin na lalaki. Para daw astig yung program
Totoo,
nila. So,
oo.
so is that what inspired you to take IT? So what inspired you to take IT in the first place? Like personally, outside of your cousin's influence, ganun.
As I remember, to be honest, second choice ko yung IT, 'no.
Oh.
For
Mhm.
some reason, tingin ko dito ako tinadhana. Pero ano naman, as I progress, 'di ba, sa field ng IT,
Mhm.
talagang nagustuhan ko naman siya dahil ang daming opportunities, ang daming mong matututunan.
Hmm,
And kumbaga 'pag nandun ka na, medyo parang nakaka-addict din yung learnings.
talaga ba, ganun ba?
Totoo.
Yung mga kaibigan kong IT hindi naman ganyan. Parang
Depende siguro.
depende siguro, 'di ba? Pero so, how was it like transitioning from, let's say, the classroom setup, from your thesis, from your feasibility studies, gano'n, to working in the real world?
Um, I think challenging,
Hmm,
because of the following reasons. So number one is yung responsibility, more responsibility. Dahil
mhm,
siyempre in the real world, kailangan mong mag-take ng ownership dun sa mga ginagawa mo. And
mhm,
oftentimes hindi ka naman micromanage. So you need to be independent.
mhm,
You need to you need to complete your task without, constant guidance.
mhm,
Ikalawa, is yung work pace. Alam naman natin, we need to meet business requirements. So medyo demanding kasi talaga yung, 'di ba, yung mga deadlines compared
hmm.
dun sa classroom setting.
Yeah, oo.
Third,
Yung kang tumawad sa
oo,
teacher.
totoo.
Sige,
So,
third,
kasi
third.
may mga ano, may mga props na generous, 'di ba?
Oo,
Eh, sa real
oo.
world hindi naman puwede yung gano'n.
Oh, Doc John, dinig mo yun.
Hindi, mabait naman si Doc diyan, generous.
Sige, and
Ayun,
then yung third mo, yung may third point ka kanina.
oo. So yung third is yung, work environment.
Mm,
Kasi compare sa classroom setting na surrounded ka ng ka-same age, 'di ba, mga students, medyo
mm,
similar na backgrounds. Sa real world kasi medyo diverse, 'di ba,
mhm,
iba-iba ng age, iba-iba ng skill levels, ng personalities and motivations. And
mhm,
I think last but not the least is yung hands-on experience.
mhm,
Kasi classroom learning is often theoretical, 'di ba, yung mga history, may tinuturo pang mga ganyan.
mhm,
Pero sa real world kasi, ito yung parang nagpo-provide talaga ng practical application nung learnings.
mm.
So overall, yung transition is challenging, pero at the same time, it provides, valuable opportunities for personal and professional growth.
Oh, grabe naman yung sagot ni Dan, pang Miss Universe. Pero then actually yung next ko na tanong sa'yo is what was the biggest adjustment na you had to make when you started your career? Especially since nagka-pandemic, after
Ah,
a year from graduation, gano'n. So ano yung biggest adjustment mo dun?
Biggest adjustment, siguro given na yung medyo hindi ka familiar dun sa mga tools and technologies pagpasok mo sa isang company. Pero I guess the biggest adjustment that I did is yung schedule or yung time. Kasi my first job, is graveyard shift. So it almost took me a month to adjust kasi siyempre sa gabi ka gising, sa umaga ka matutulog, and medyo mahirap kasi mas gising yung diwa natin 'pag umaga, eh.
Totoo, totoo 'yan. So, you started out na night shift ka or
Mhm, night shift.
grabe. Grabe, kakapagod yun, tapos you're programming pa. So, when you started out, was the training that you got in school enough to prepare you for your first job?
Medyo mahirap 'tong question na 'to. Ayun, kasi kaya ko naman siya nasabi na mahirap kasi siyempre ba iba-iba tayo ng, naging instructor, ng profs ng school.
Mhm,
And siyempre ito based pa sa kung ano yung na-experience ko noon, and I think medyo different na siya ngayon dahil sabi mo nga nagdaan na yung pandemic, and
hmm,
from what I've heard, some of the schools changed their learning models and yung curriculum, 'no.
yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, to some extent. Pero if
Mhm,
counted yung OJT, I reckon that's one of the best experiences that I had.
hmm,
Kasi dun talaga ako nagkaroon ng glimpse ng real world. Dun ko nalaman yung mga tools and technologies na nabanggit ni Doc John kanina. Yung mga
hmm,
version control tool na talagang sobrang useful naman.
mm.
Kumbaga parang mapapasabi ka nga na nga lang ng sana pala alam mo na 'to noon para na-apply mo na dun sa capstone or thesis mo. Para
Oo.
na-prevent yung mga documents na ang name, final, 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 mga final na talaga 'to, mga gano'n.
Final na promise.
Oo, final na promise.
Alalang-alala ko din yun, grabe. At 'di ba,
Tayo
iba talaga
makaka-relate.
'no? 'Di ba, iba talaga
Mm,
yung 'pag napasabak ka na sa giyera once
totoo.
you graduate, iba talaga siya and parang ako din honestly nabigyan ko din ng value noon na parang sana pala mas tinutukan ko 'to kasi kailangan pala talaga siya sa line of work, gano'n.
Mm.
Pero sige din, before we continue any further, let's call back Doc John to join us so you can both share your insights for the next set of questions. So eto na. Ayan. So, our first question actually for you guys, now that the both of you have seen how other IT professionals work, how people that you work with do their jobs, handle their responsibilities. If you were an employer, what are the qualities that you would most look for in applicants or potential employees? Siguro we can start with Doc John.
Yeah, to me, values. That's
Hmm,
very important, no? So
opo.
teamwork. So
Opo.
one of those things na, I kind of check out.
Mhm.
Like for example, if the person is a new grad, right? So how did you work on your thesis? What
Hmm.
sort of difficulties did you find? Did you have any challenges with your teammates, right? So can you identify, what they are and how did it turn out? So values ang tinitignan ko, teamwork, being able to come up with innovations, right? So kasi as we know that technology is gonna move very rapidly. How does a person really look at, a particular technology and what sort of new things can they come up with them,
Hmm.
right? So how is the person, what's the resourcefulness of that person? So I ask questions like, okay, if you had this difficulty, how did you find the solution for it?
Hmm.
So I kind of look at, sites, websites that they visit, how they analyze things.
Mhm.
So yeah, I look at values a lot, and of course, the basic,
Hmm.
the foundational stuff, right? I go into data structures. I go into, like, you've got this programming problem.
Mhm.
How are you going to approach this? You've got this network issue. What are the points of failure that you're going to look at? So very technology based, skills based type of questions. Yeah.
Mm. Okey. Sige po, and then baka may answer ka din diyan then from your perspective. So feeling mo, what are the qualities you'd look for? Naka-mute ka ata. Sige, ask to unmute natin ulit.
Ayan. So
Yan.
ayun, I agree with Doc John kasi while yung technical skills is important,
Mm.
talagang ang kailangan natin tignan is yung values, 'di ba, nung aplikante na yun. Kasi yun yung mahirap ipa-embrace, sa employee, 'di ba? Pero yung technical skills kasi karaniwan na ano naman yan, naituturo yan, naaaral yan.
Yeah.
Pero ayun, kung ako ang titignan ko is yun nga resourcefulness. Minsan
Mhm.
nga parang aantayin natin na sabihin nila, "Oh, magaling ako mag-Google." Kasi very
Mhm.
ano na siya, needed talaga
Yeah.
nowadays, yung
Mm.
magaling ka mag-search, 'di ba?
Oo.
Tapos, ayun, attention to detail, collaboration, et cetera.
Oo. Sige, I do agree with those. And kahit nga if hindi IT, I guess applicable din yan sa business administration. And kahit anong industriya, parang the qualities that you mentioned are actually very necessary for any person that wants to work in a certain industry. So, you guys were
Hmm.
both mentioning values, right? So, in relation to values, we have soft skills. So that would be, yun nga, yung mga teamwork, um, yung language abilities mo, speaking abilities, and all that. So how necessary is it to have soft skills like these if you're working in tech? Parang may opinion agad si Doc John. May sagot ata agad si Doc John.
No, very critical, di ba?
Oo.
Very critical, very important, no?
Mhm.
So, communication is very important.
Mhm.
Okay, but I'd like to center on something quite particular with communication, and it is about openness.
Mhm.
'Di ba? Kasi we have a culture, we say that okay, you should be able to communicate your thoughts and ideas, all
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And but the thing is, sometimes when you're communicating your ideas,
Mhm.
some feel like, ano ba yan? Bakit ang dami-daming sinasabi niyan, right?
Yes, yes.
Or, sometimes you are in a huddle
Mm.
and, a teammate of yours is, you know, in a way, um, because in a project, there are some dependencies, correct?
Mm. Yes, definitely. Oo.
And and it's sometimes like a person did his code incorrectly,
Mhm.
right? And some of the other team members will say, hey, why did you do that code that way? That was not
Mhm.
our agreement, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not too open, sometimes you'll get hurt,
Yes,
and
opo.
it's
Mhm.
gonna create, you're gonna feel like, oh, they're saying things against me, blah. That's
Yeah,
not a good thing, right?
opo.
So, you need to have that openness to be able to, you need to have that capability to be able to express yourself when
Yeah.
there's something that you see that is not going on correctly, right?
Yeah. Right.
But at the same time, if somebody says something
Mhm.
against whatever it is that you have done, you should be open to accept that also, and
Mhm.
be able to just move on and take things objectively, that we are a team,
Mhm.
etc. So that particular aspect of communication, I think, is very important. That
Yeah.
openness aspect of communication is very important.
Yeah, I do agree with that. How about you then? What do you think about like IT professionals and how they should be really good at communicating and speaking up for themselves?
Mhm. Ayun, so para sa akin naman, sobrang important din talaga ng communication to provide a better or a great customer service. Kasi siyempre hindi naman porket, nagko-code ka ganyan, hindi mo na kailangang malaman yung processes, 'di ba? Kasi may operations work, kailangang maintindihan paano ba nagwo-work yung company mo, paano ba yung mga process nila. So you need to communicate, you need to adapt.
Mhm.
So very critical yung soft skills, sabi nga ni Doc dun.
Yeah, I do agree. And I think, again, as I was saying earlier, parang yung soft skills, applicable din siya to all industries, di ba? Pero actually, malapit na tayong matapos. Meron akong tanong na I guess both of you can answer. Gaano ba katotoo na a lot of IT professionals or people working in IT sometimes prefer nila na hindi sila magmo-move up the ranks and magte-take up ng managerial tasks. Totoo ba yun?
Si Den, ewan ko, si Den.
Then, baka may sagot ka
Ah,
dyan.
sige. Siguro tingin ko kaya yung iba, kumbaga parang ayaw nila 'di ba mapunta sa isang managerial role,
Mhm.
maybe because of a variety of reasons. Number one is yung passion nila sa technology. Kasi 'di
Mhm.
ba siyempre 'pag nasa managerial role ka na, more
Mhm.
on ano 'yan, people yung mina-manage mo, kumbaga nababawasan yung technical skills, yung lack
Mm.
of interest, ganyan. And sometimes siguro is comfort lang sila sa kung ano yung role nila
Yeah.
currently, yun
Mm.
siguro.
Yeah.
Pero not
Mm.
necessarily true naman siguro sa lahat because I mean, maybe a lot, prefer pa rin na mag-move up, the ranks.
Mm. Yeah, feeling ko naman.
Oo.
So, Doc John, baka you can
Mm.
also give your insights on this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kasi alam mo, during our time, with this outsourcing sort of, and the growth of the industry, right? We really needed people managers. So parang na associate yung moving up the rank to managing people, no?
Yeah.
But we are learning in our industry now quite well also that we need to appreciate that there are individuals who really just love technology.
Mm.
Okay? So they have a different career path. Kasi 'di ba parang ang career path is people manager. So that's the old style of moving
Yeah.
up people. But there are also technology managers
Mhm.
now. So
Mhm.
these are people who are really good with technology, and companies appreciate that, we've got these people who are good with technology, but they don't want to deal with the nuances of, like, people problems, right?
Yeah.
Pero technology problem, good na good sila. So, yan na ngayon. Meron ng technology career path at saka yung people management career path, no?
Mm.
So, yeah, I think there's getting more and more, how do I say, consciousness that there are people who just loves to grow with technology.
Yeah, I do agree with that, Doc John. And parang nakikita ko din 'yan sa ibang friends ko din na nasa IT 'no, na sometimes mas prefer lang talaga nilang umuupo lang sila the whole day, nagko-code, ta's nagkakape-kape, pero problemado na sa kung anong issue yung lumalabas diyan.
Yan
Actually,
ang
friend ko
yan ang
ganyan.
mga go-to people. Pagka
Oo,
nagkaroon ng technical issue, sino
oo,
pupuntahan? Puntahan
sila.
natin si Den.
Yes, that's
Yan.
si Jen ang sagot.
Yari.
Oo. Pero ito, ano naman, yeah, pero may flexibility din. Palaging naman kahit na nasa technical ka, meron pa ring people issues and people concerns you need to deal
Yeah.
with as you move up the rank. That's very important also.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's true. Doc John, what's it like ba na you do less of the tech work and you do more managerial tasks, yung traditional managerial tasks? Do you sometimes miss na computer lang kaharap mo?
Alam mo, sa career ko kasi, I was thrown to manage people eh. That
Mhm.
is actually in my, when I look back, sabi ko I should have stayed with technical.
Hmm.
Ganon. So,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed it kasi naman I like to, well, I started my career as a teacher, 'di ba? And then I went into industry.
Yeah.
Kasi you always have to teach. Parang ganon, no?
Yeah.
So, yun ang palagi mong gagawin. When you have people, you have to teach always. But
Mhm.
so I was very comfortable with teaching and guiding and coaching. The word coaching is the what we use in industry, like, and mentoring. So I was quite comfortable with it. But in hindsight, parang I wanted to stay with tech. Parang,
Mhm. Yeah. Na more tech
technology.
focused ka. So then,
Yes.
alam mo na din. Sige. So, we actually have one last question for the both of you this evening. And I think based on your personal experiences, may maisasagot talaga kayo dito, especially giving the differences in your tenure din, in the time that you've spent in tech, right? So, what advice can you give budding IT professionals and IT undergraduates? Siguro we can start with Den. Ready ka na ba, Den?
Sige. Okay, sige. So, advice, number one siguro, gaya nung na-mention earlier ni Doc John, na ayun nga, they need to be abreast sa mga technologies kasi sobrang bilis talaga niya nag-e-evolve na parang magpahinga ka lang saglit, ano na, parang maiiwan ka agad.
Bago na.
Oo. Tas second, siyempre you need to develop a strong foundation kasi parang iyan yung babalikan mo, if ever na hindi mo na alam kung saan ka ba pupunta, kailangan bumalik sa basics, sabi nga. Third, build a portfolio or document your work kasi sobrang importante niya na often hindi nagagawa. Sobrang
Mm.
halaga niya talaga, promise. And yung kasunod is focus on the problem, not just the technology. Kasi
Mhm.
minsan parang na-overlook natin na dun lang tayo nagfo-focus sa technology pero yung solution dun sa actual problem hindi na natin napapagtuunan ng pansin. And last but not the least is to explore. Don't be afraid to take risk. Pero syempre always remember na una, kailangan meron ina-apply mo.
Mm.
Ina-apply mo yung mga natututuhan mo para di mo siya makalimutan. And second, hindi mo kailangang malaman lahat. So ayun lang.
Mhm. Grabe, Doc John. Grabe 'tong si
Oo nga.
Denn, Doc John. Wag mo nang
Oo.
pakawalan 'to.
Oo, wala parang, ano 'no, sinagot na niya lahat 'no. But, yeah, I mean, those are exactly, a lot of the things that, a person needs to do as they go up the career ladder. I
Mhm.
just want to, I guess, emphasize on a very important thing that, Den mentioned.
Mhm.
So tayo mga IT, technical, no? But si Den mentioned something very important, yung business side of it. Kasi
Mhm.
technology is just the nuts and bolts. But
Hmm.
you need to know the business side. Otherwise, hindi ka makakapagbigay ng good solution. So
Mhm.
that's a very important advice that, I need to emphasize with what, Den said, no? Apart from all the things that he mentioned, I just want to add one more thing.
Mm.
Guys, this is all about relationships. So do
Mhm.
not forget that, in your work environment, you are building relationships right at the start.
Yeah.
All these, co-workers of yours, you are going to work together. You're going to build things together. You don't want to upset people.
Yeah.
You don't want to cross people. You build a good rapport with the other, team members, and
Mhm.
don't do hurtful things. Be good. Be a good person, I guess, no? And build on your relationships because they will help you in your career.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that. Grabe, ang lalim naman ng ang tech team namin. Grabe. Pero I do agree with that. It's, wala lang, just thinking about it. Parang it's not just something na you have to consider in tech, 'di ba? It's also something you have to consider even if you go into engineering, you go into business, you go into med. Those are all very valid points and I do agree with them. Sige, so baka before we end, baka may questions yung mga viewers natin today. So please do feel free to send us at least one or two questions. Baka meron dyan. Either dito sa Zoom or sa Facebook Live or YouTube Live natin. Sige, so any questions? Parang wala. Parang nahihiya sila. So baka mark safe kayo this evening, Doc John, and then
That's nice.
ayan, sige. So, parang wala nga actually silang tanong. But I do think na wala silang tanong kasi nasabi nyo na lahat. Parang grabe yung pagka-insightful ng session na to. Eto, ayan, merong isa. Do you have some advice for a beginner entering college? Then, baka may advice ka dyan. Sige, mag-unmute ka muna. Go.
Yan, okay. Advice ko since mag-enter sa college is enjoyin lang yung progress. Kasi minsan parang excited tayo masyado na matapos or makatapos. Kaya
Yeah,
minsan na-overlook natin na yung process yung mahalaga dun kung paano mo makakamit yung goals mo. So enjoy lang.
yeah, totoo
Yeah,
yan.
yeah. It's a
Agree. Doc,
journey, no? It's a
yes,
journey. You've got 3 years, 3.5 years here.
yeah. I,
Oh, so it's gonna be a journey. Take it easy.
yeah.
Foundation, ang importante, wag masyadong magmadali. Focus on, your work, work with your teammates, ganyan.
Mhm.
Build relationships, I think. Yan ang
Mm, I agree.
dapat yung gawin. And chill. Wag masyadong seryoso. May mag-member ka ng club, extracurricular stuff. Kung sa
Yeah.
IT, wag masyadong puro technical lang. Dapat meron kang mga other skills that you need to work on, ano? Kasi that will help you also.
Ayun nga, mahalaga kasi talaga yung soft skills. So, to add more context, no, dun sa tanong, actually, the viewer graduated in 2013 pa. So, baka kinakabahan siya to
Oh.
enter college again. Baka he's going to enroll in MMDC. So, I guess, for me like, looking back, I guess, you have to remember na age also doesn't matter, honestly, in college. Kasi meron din kaming mga kaklase na yung iba nga may anak na, married na. And kaya din naman nilang makipagsabayan. Because what matters is how you are also able to apply yourself, di ba? In the workplace, hindi naman kasi ka-age mo yung lahat, as Den said earlier. So you have to know how to mingle with others. How you also have to know how to connect with others. And primarily, you're in school to learn. So your priority talaga is to develop your skills, to learn more about your capabilities as an IT professional, or no matter what your college degree might be, 'di ba? And I think Doc John and then also agree with that, 'di ba? So,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an advantage pa nga because the person brings in a lot of maturity
mhm.
coming in, right?
Yeah.
So baka nga, when he or she attends class, magiging
Mhm.
popular siya because mga classmates niya will be going to him or her for advice, no? I don't know who's that fellow. So, yeah. Ano
Yeah.
yan? Maganda yan. Mm.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good opportunity, and it's never too late naman kasi to restart your career and to go into college. There's always a chance for that. But anyway, all right, I think that's all the time that we have for this episode. So thank you so much to our viewers who joined us. Thank you so much, Den and Doc John, for gracing us with your time and wisdom. This has honestly been super insightful, and I feel like our viewers across all our channels are actually now more capable of gauging their preparedness for the real world, especially if they want to get into the tech industry. So again, thank you, Dan and Doc John.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you sa uulitin po.
Sure.
And thank you everyone for tuning into What's Next Wednesdays, MMDC's official live podcast. So to learn more about our IT courses and our offerings in business administration, please do send us an email at admissions@mmdc.mcl.edu.ph or visit our website www.mmdc.mcl.edu.ph. It's time for us to pop out of our podcast and bid you all goodbye. We hope to see you soon, and we can't wait till our next Wednesday. Again, thank you everyone. Have a great night.